What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Hope everybody's day is going well. I'm Arm and Hammer. You already know what it is. Back at it again with another Sparking Zero video. So in my earlier video, I did say that I was going to go into detail about the main issue of the game, and that is, of course, the lack of new content. Because I'm sure everybody's wondering, why the hell would they go through all this effort, 6 years to be exact, animating 200 plus characters, all these stages, all this work to deliver the first AAA Dragon Ball game, which we haven't had in years, by the way, just for them in the end to be delivering us this dry, bare bones ass content. No new maps, no new customization, etc, etc. Well, I'm about to answer that question for you right now. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, if you guys remember a while back before the game even released, you would recall that Jun Furutani stated that Sparking Zero is meant to be a foundation for future sequels in the Budokai Tenkaichi franchise, with the final objective being able to deliver a new and evolved Dragon Ball Z gameplay experience, right? So if you take the pieces off of what you just read, you would essentially see this game as sort of a base, right? It is not meant to be the fully fleshed out Dragon Ball game that we eventually will get sometime in the future. It's basically something similar to what I said a while back about Sparking Zero being only the testing phase, and all of the features that we want in a Dragon Ball game will eventually come in either a refinement or a sequel, right? However, Jun Furutani also said that the game is a direct sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, which upon release of the game, of course, confused a lot of fans, because being a sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3 would mean having all of BT3's content plus more. However, obviously, that is not the case. Now, don't get me wrong, this video is not another one of those, oh, for a game that's supposed to be a sequel to BT3, it sure doesn't feel like one, because I'm sure we're all fucking tired of hearing that by now. That is not what we're here to talk about for today. I am simply saying that the game that we've been playing for the past 6 months is not a sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but it's rather a reboot to Budokai Tenkaichi 1. I mean, shit, if we look at the stage count for this game compared to BT1, it's basically the same fucking amount of stages, with the only stage being added is the Tournament of Power stage, which I'm sure was added to, acknowledge the existence of Dragon Ball Super and all of those characters being added as well. Now, if we take a look here at the release date windows for the first 3 Budokai Tenkaichi games, you would notice that they're actually a lot closer than you think, right? The original game, which is Budokai Tenkaichi, was released in 2005. The sequel to the game, Budokai Tenkaichi 2, being released in 2006. And then finally, with the game to close out the trilogy, which is Budokai Tenkaichi 3, being released in 2007. Now, if you haven't noticed already, of course, these 3 games have their noticeably fair share of differences. With the first game, of course, being the base, not really meant to have too much in it, right? I'm assuming that was their test phase way back then, right? With the sequel game, BT2, being a mass refinement to the combat and the story mode, and then of course Budokai Tenkaichi 3, adding more meat to the game, you know what I'm saying? Adding them new characters, adding them new game modes, etc, etc. Now, I bet you're all wondering, how the hell were they able to make this crazy amount of progress with only a 1-year interval between each game? Well, that's exactly what I'm trying to say with Sparking Zero, because in my view, Sparking Zero is basically the hard part, right? Which was basically making the game to begin with, right? Because when you make a whole new modern Dragon Ball game, a AAA one at that, you pretty much gotta hit that option to start a new game, bro. You know what I'm saying? You can't load that save data if the save data is over 20 years old, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's not how that works, bro. You know what I mean? So just making the game itself, right? Unreal Engine 5, I'm sure that was a bitch, right? You know, making all the models, putting the appropriate amount of detail on each model, I'm sure that was a bitch, right? The graphics, this game looks fucking amazing, so I'm sure that took them a while. You know, animating all the moves for 200 plus characters, you know what I'm saying? Detailing the stages, like, I'm sure that process alone probably took a hefty amount of time, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. And then not to mention developing the combat system for the game, right? So what Sparking Zero is basically the hard part, right? The first 50%. And the other 50% is most likely intended to come over time in the sequels, right? But what I'm saying is this whole lack of stages, the lack of skins, the lack of content, the flat story, in my opinion, I feel like it was all done intentionally, bro. I mean, cause let's think about it. They know the fucking hell stage exists. They know space exists. They know the fucking Universe 6 versus 7 tournament stage exists. It's basically in every fucking modern Dragon Ball game except this one, right? However, I'm just sure that they intended to add it in the later games, bro. If not the next game, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not necessarily saying that this is right, but this is the process that they did over 20 years ago, right? Only difference is they didn't have the fans there on Twitter, you know, just nagging their ear off saying, where's this, where's that? It was more like a trust the process type of thing. So if we follow the blueprint of the first trilogy, then that would mean in the sequel, we'll most likely get a refinement of the combat and the story mode, right? Because let's think about it, right? With the hard part out of the way, they don't have to spend another 4 years reanimating a shit ton of characters, which if y'all think they're actually gonna do that for the sequel, it's like my nigga Nazo said, then you're more naive than I thought, nigga. Cause I'ma tell you right now, when it comes to them characters, it's about to be Control C, Control V, my nigga. Bruh. But like I was saying before, the sequel game most likely will have a refinement to the combat and the story mode. You know what I'm saying? Actually show fucking cutscenes this time, so it's not a Microsoft PowerPoint slideshow. You know what I'm saying? And the third game, like, y'all know how this process is, right? Especially for those of y'all who played the older games growing up. You know what I'm saying? Because with the third game, I mean, the whole process, it paid off. Let's be for real. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is highly regarded as the best Dragon Ball Z game of all time. It is the closest one-to-one depiction you can get from a Dragon Ball Z simulation to a video game. You know what I'm saying? So, like I was saying before, this game is basically a reboot, right? It's not meant to be like an exact one-to-one to the old Tenkaichi games, because as y'all have noticed, there's a shit ton of new mechanics in here, and I'm kind of glad that the gameplay's different, right? Because the core of Tenkaichi is still there, right? It's still got Tenkaichi combat, it's still got Tenkaichi mechanics, it's still got Tenkaichi physics. It's just that, you know, the developers put their own little twist on it for this new generation of gamers, right? And in my opinion, it could work out for the better if they execute it the right way. Now, if they get hoed, they just get hoed, bro, and we just gonna have to end it off with Sparking Zero, which I hope that's not the case, because if you look at it, Sparking Zero was a success, whether you want to view it that way or not. It is a financial success in the video game industry. I mean, the shit sold like 5 million copies, bro. They have more than enough money to go either way, bro. They can either refine the game, right, spontaneously like they did with Xenoverse 2, or they can just make a sequel, which is what they're most likely going to do, because Jun Furutani himself said that the game is basically a base. It's a foundation for future sequels in the franchise. So in conclusion, this game is not the sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3. You know what I'm saying? It's not BT4, right? I apologize to those of y'all who thought that it was, but it ain't, bro. The game you've been playing is Budokai Tenkaichi 1 rebooted. You know what I mean? So where I think they fucked up at is they marketed this game as a direct sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, and they also marketed this game as a full product, like a full game, neither of which turned out to be the case. So of course that was a big fuck up on their part. Don't ever do that shit again, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. But like I said before, this game was a success, bro. It was a success in the industry, whether people want to believe it or not. So y'all still got the money. Y'all still got the chance to make shit right. You know what I'm saying? Let's just hope that this shit pays off, bro. So what I calculate is going to happen is that this next DLC pack, you know, DLC Wave 3, which we will inevitably get Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I think that that will be the final DLC for this game. If there is another season pass, that will more than likely be the final one. You know what I'm saying? And I'd say like mid to late next year, they are going to announce the sequel to this game. They are going to announce Sparking 1 or whatever the fuck the name is gonna be, right? And I know it sounds absurd, but let's be for real. The first 3 Budokai Tenkaichi games coming out in a 1-year time frame from each other, that also sounds absurd, but they did it. I'm not even gonna lie. So let's just hope that they're able to pull off a miracle again. And if they don't, and Bandai fucks them over, then we're all hoed, bro. Unfortunately, we're going to be doomed to the ultimate mediocrity of anime games forever. And let me know if you guys want me to make a video on that, by the way, because I will. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, y'all, that's pretty much it for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Anyways, y'all, that's the video. Let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comment section, whether y'all think, okay, I could definitely see where this guy's coming from. We still have a chance to get the Dragon Ball game that we actually want. Or do y'all think, nah, bro, this video wasn't he. You didn't cook. Go back to the vault, bro. Go back to the lab, And by the way, I am aware that the English dub for Dragon Ball Daima has just ended, so I will probably be making a video on that sometime in the future. But anyways, y'all, that's it from me. I'm Armin Hammer. You already know what it is. Love y'all boys. Stay safe. Peace out. And I'm going to see you on the next one.